Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Co-op Podcast, episode 213. I'm your host, Richard Billy Jr., and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it going, Gary?
It's going very good, thanks. How are you, Rich?
Doing pretty good, trying to stay cool in this heat wave. But, yeah. We're also joined by Mr. Jake James Lugo. How's it going, Mr. Lugo?
I'm doing good, Rich. I've been busy just taking care of some stuff for the website and some cool stuff to talk about that I've been kind of paying attention to. So I'm here. I'm ready to roll.
Sounds good. Also joined by Mr. Max Muller. How's it going, Max?
Hey, Rich. How's it going? Happy to be back.
Yes. Happy to have you on another show. Yes. Also joined by Miss Dana Abercrombie. How's it going, Dana?
Hello, it's going wonderful. Excited for everything that's happening over at Comic-Con.
Absolutely. We're definitely going to get into that also today. And we have a special guest this week, Mr. Andrew Bennison. I hope I got your name correctly.
Just about, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yes, you're actually the managing director over at Prospect Games.
I am indeed, the one and only.
Awesome. Yes. So, yes, glad to have you on the show. You're going to talk to us a little bit about indie game development and also the game that you're currently working on. But before we get into that, we're just going to have a quick discussion, talk about what we have been playing. So, Gary, what have you been playing this week?
Not as much this week, but I've been playing Overwatch, of course, and I do have exciting personal news to report with Overwatch. I made it to gold rank finally, which is something I've been trying to do for a very long time in comp. So yeah, I mentioned last week that I have like a team that I've been playing with, a team of people, and we played a lot of comp this week, and I finally made it to gold rank, which was a long and hard grind because yeah, you can easily lose matches because some people don't want to change characters and you know, they throw the matches and everything like that. But yeah, I'm very proud of myself. Other people will probably be like, wow, it took you that long, because I know there's people out there who have hit platinum and diamond rank. But yeah, I'm proud of myself. So just wanted to report that. And also been playing Persona 5. I got kind of stuck fighting Madarame, which is like the second major boss in the game. But today I managed to actually defeat him. So yeah, I've made a bit of progress on Persona 5 as well. But that's pretty much all I've been playing this week. Unfortunately, I didn't get into the Destiny 2 beta, so I didn't get a chance to try that out. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I just want to make a quick comment, Gary. You do know that the beta is open to everyone now, so you easily could have played on PlayStation 4. But I know you're waiting for PC, so you know they got you covered in August.
Yeah, I did, like, because it came open on the weekend, right? And I didn't have any time to get it this weekend, so yeah, that's why.
Oh, well, we understand that. Yes, fully understand that. So, Max, how about you let us know what you've been playing?
This week, not a whole lot, unfortunately. Pretty much the Destiny 2 beta, and then fitting in Rocket League when I can. This week has been busy with a lot of real life things. I have not been able to play many games, so which is kind of a shame. But as I'm sure you guys may have heard on the Destiny 2 podcast we did earlier this week, I enjoyed it a lot more than I didn't. My fears are mostly calmed about it just being like a Destiny 1.5. Like, obviously, it's still a bit too early to tell for sure, but the improvements that they've made in terms of story and the way that cutscenes are handled and that sort of stuff, I really enjoy so far. So we'll have to see, but I'm more than cautiously optimistic. I'm hopeful at this point, whereas beforehand I was pretty cautious about the game, but I am a lot more hopeful about it, and I'm excited to I just hope they have another beta before release so that we can get a lot more information on the game, because this was a pretty short beta. But other than that, not much. But yeah, looking forward to Destiny 2.
Sounds good. Okay, Mr. Lugo, how about you let us know what you've been playing?
I've been pretty busy. I've been doing a bunch of different stuff. I was on the Destiny 2 beta discussion podcast with both you and Max. I got a chance to play that extensively. I also have been playing Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy because, again, I'm doing the guide for IGN, and I finished that recently within the last few days. I actually also did some stuff on the DLC level that came out, Stormy Ascent, which is that cut level that was in the original Crash Bandicoot on PlayStation 1, but it got cut at the last minute. It was never in the original release. So Vicarious Visions completed it and actually released it for free on PlayStation Network for everybody to download. So I did some stuff with that. What I can't say on top of that, or before I even get to that, I should say I've also been playing a little bit of Overwatch here and there. I also been playing some Tekken 7. Been going back to Tekken 7 every once in a while. A little bit annoying with the ranking and the online matchmaking because people have been getting very cute and very sneaky with how they've actually been handling the way that rank matches have been going, because people could just quit at the very last second on the win screen, on the results screen, and it'll mess up the match or mess up the connection, and you won't get a rank up if you actually win the matchup. So I was pretty disappointed by that. That was not fun. Besides that, what I can't say, because it's actually the review's coming up tomorrow. It's going to be going up in the afternoon on the Koalition. I'm reviewing Pyre for the Koalition. It's on PlayStation 4, and I'll be able to talk more about that later this week, probably on the next episode of the Co-op. So that's what I've been up to.
Sounds good. And I have to address something because it appears as though we have been invaded. I believe that's Mr. Charles Singletary. How's it going, Charles?
How you doing, guys? Just popped in, say hello. How you doing?
Wow, we're doing pretty good. Yes, good to see you. So,
yes, Gary. I did use the Infinity Gauntlet to sneak my way in here.
I'm digging the shirt, Charles.
Well, since you're here, Charles, why don't you let us know what you've been playing?
Oh, man. A lot of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I don't know if any of you are playing that nowadays, but playing that a whole lot with a group of people pretty much every evening, like clockwork. Other than that, Gigantic is on Steam now, so I've been playing that a lot. Yeah, just those two. Oh, Paragon as well. So, some MOBAs and some competitive survival shooters and everything. And I finished Shadow of Mordor for the first time. Like, I'd played it a long time ago, but I finally jumped in there and finished the main story. So that as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I have been playing that as well. I just decided to jump back into that. That's pretty much all I have been playing, because I also haven't had much time to really play much this week. But yeah, some great games. I got to get into this Undergrounds game or Battlegrounds.
Battlegrounds, yes, man. You definitely should. It's stressful. You may have some rage quitting going down, but it's a lot of fun though.
Okay, I gotta look into that. Okay, Dana, let us know what you've been playing.
Well, I've been so busy with all of this Comic-Con stuff. I was able to sneak in some Batman Arkham Knight just because I'm so frustrated with the Justice League trailer. I need my real Batman. So I just started replaying that again, and that's been fun. And I played a little bit of the Destiny 2 beta, but it's just been mainly Batman.
Sounds good. Yeah, it sounds good. Okay, Andrew, I definitely want you to tell us about your body of work, but I want you to first let us know if you've been playing anything currently at the moment.
In short, no. So sorry to ruin this section, but no, because I'm in front of a screen 15 hours a day just making this game, and yeah, what time I have outside the office I use to try run or climb up walls or do anything that doesn't involve looking at a light. So yeah, not really been playing much. I guess games that I want to play, I play a lot of Nuclear Throne when I can. I know that's old as hell now, but I do like going back to Nuclear Throne because it's dependable. It's the game that keeps on giving. So if I had more time, I'd be playing that constantly, but I don't.
That's cool. That's cool. And and you didn't ruin the segment. I fully understand. You're working on the game now. The focus has to be on making the products as good as it can be. So feel free to give us a little bit of backstory just on your body of work, and then we can get into some indie development stuff as well.
Sure. Well, I'm the managing director of Prospect Games. We're an indie studio based in Manchester in the UK. And our flagship title is Unbox Newbie's Adventure, which is a 3D platformer about the ultimate postal service, self-delivering cardboard boxes. So you play as a cardboard box, you roll around giant worlds, collecting collectibles, taking part in challenges, fighting against big boss battles. And we also have this big split screen component, so there's arena battling, racing and delivery mode, tournaments. Like we've really tried to create something that's like a love letter to the 90s, the kind of games like Super Mario Kart and Banjo-Kazooie, like those sorts of games that we were playing growing up as kids. And that's really been, that's kind of been the last 2.5 years of my life, and is really the main thing that Prospect's done. Before that, we tried a hand at mobile development, and before that we were just a modding group. Once we'd left uni, we were just trying anything to get our foot in the door in the industry. So Unbox is really the first kind of serious venture that we've taken part in. And yeah, it's taken us 2.5 years to get it done, but we're finally there.
That's awesome. Yes. So I know you mentioned that this is the first game. I did want to ask you if you could describe if you've had any pitfalls as far as, when you started to making this venture into this line of work, if you've had any things that you've dealt with that you maybe can give advice to those that might want to get into indie game development, some things to be aware of, if you had anything that you can talk about from that.
Sure. I mean, if I went through everything, we'd be here for a good couple of days. Like the amount of pitfalls that we've fallen into and then had to claw our way back out of has been numerous, and it's largely come from just naivety. There's been a lot of things both within our control and out of our control that have happened to Prospect and the product and the team here. We've been through some incredible moments, and we've been through some diabolically dark moments. But I think it all comes from this being kind of our first time doing this, and not being able to see those pitfalls coming up. So I guess like my main advice to anybody else who wants to get into indie development is really to go in with a plan. Like you can't go in 100% prepared, because if you're running any kind of startup, you're stepping into something that you're definitely passionate about. Because anybody who starts, does a startup app developer or game developer or whatever, it's like clearly you're passionate about that. But are you incredibly knowledgeable about that? Chances are no, unless you're quitting an industry that you've been a part of for 10, 20 years. If you're like the Platonic guys, they were part of Rare, and then they've quit their various businesses and set up a company. So they've gone into it much more well prepared. But most indie devs are young, sort of 15 and up bedroom developers. So the passion you'll definitely have. It's the knowledge that you probably won't have. And the only thing that you can kind of safeguard against that lack of knowledge is planning and keeping your scope really tight and trying to deliver things, I guess, in steps. So if you look at the first game Prospect made, a mobile game called Bypass, and then look at Unbox, the difference in size, quality, scope, ambition is gigantic. Bypass is a small mobile device in which you just move a triangle left and right and dodge blocks coming from the top of the screen and collect circles. So it's kind of like Tetris, but also like you're flying a little mini spaceship. Very simple. To step up from that to Unbox, which is this gigantic multi-world, open world adventure with 10, 15 hours of gameplay and dozens of multiplayer maps and game modes and hundreds of cosmetics, a soundtrack that lasts almost 2 hours, 40,000 words of dialogue, and all done by 5 people, effectively. Like, that's such a huge step up that we made this about as hard as we could for ourselves. So if you're trying to get into indie development, don't do that. Like it's kind of working out for us, but we've gone through absolute hell to get to this stage. So definitely take things in steps. Don't go for like the dream game to begin with, because you're probably not going to do it. And even if you do, you'll have some pretty hefty battle scars at the end of it.
Hey, I would say that's some very, very good advice all across the board. So remind us, you guys already have a release date. You said later this year the game will be out, and on which platforms? So
yeah, we launched Unbox on Steam last year. So it's been out on PC for about 9-10 months. The Unbox Newbie's Adventure, which is a better optimized, slightly more content-rich version of the game, is coming out on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 on July 26th. So this coming Wednesday. And then with Switch, we're working our socks off to bring it to Switch as soon as possible. Don't have a release date on that, but it should be sort of Q3, Q4 2017.
Are there like difficulties with producing the game on Switch? Like, do you face any other difficulties than you do with any of the other platforms?
I don't know how much. I've had a few people ask me this. I honestly don't know how much I'm allowed to say because we sign all sorts of things with all the different platform holders. What I would say is, again, we made this about as hard as possible for ourselves, porting in general. So we were developing on PC for a good 8-9 months before we got dev kits, and throughout that whole time period, it was like trying to get dev kits, talking to people at Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, speaking to reps, saying, showing them the game advancing and going, look, this really should be on consoles because we're designing it as a console game. And so when we got the kits and we got access to their documentation and all of the rules and compliance procedures that we had to meet, that hit us like a ton of bricks. We were supremely underprepared for just the porting process in general. So bringing it to consoles has been extremely difficult. Fortunately, I guess for the Switch port, because we've done a hell of a lot of work with PlayStation and Xbox, all that development kind of helped us port to Switch. One, because we knew more what we were going to be in for, because we only started porting to Switch a couple of months ago. We started that way after the other platforms. But a lot of the work that we did to optimize the code to make it run on different platforms, that just naturally crossed over to the Switch build as well. So it's for the Nintendo, it's been almost hassle-free for the last couple of months. But we've certainly had our challenges doing the porting, and it's something that every indie dev experiences, and you can never prepare enough for how tough it is. It's ridiculously hard.
Wow. Very interesting. You had any other questions, Gary?
Yeah, since you are from the UK as well, I wanted to ask, would you say that it's more tough to make it as a UK developer than in the US? Because it seems like in the US they have a more developed industry in terms of video games and everything. So is it much more of a challenge to kind of form your own indie studio in the UK, do you think?
I don't know. I've only been to the last American event I went to, and I've not been to many, but it was PAX East in March. In fact, that's where I met Max. Yeah, and comparing the industry there to events like your experience like EGX and Resd and whatnot, it definitely feels larger. I mean, again, America's all about go big or go home. You do everything larger than us, but in terms of opportunities, I'd say it's pretty well balanced. I mean, you've got Sony of America, but you've also got Sony Europe, and they're based in Soho. Same with Nintendo, same with Microsoft. They all have large presences in the UK. And then in the publisher sphere, I'd say probably some of the more prolific indie publishers are in America, but then companies like Devolver, half of their guys are from the UK, one of their guys is from Texas. So honestly, I've never really had a problem networking and getting in contact with the right people, whether it's press coverage from the likes of Kotaku or Eurogamer, or contacting publishers like Devolver or Tiny Build, or getting in contact with the platform holders like Nintendo. It's fairly evenly spread, and I'd say the US and the UK are pretty well. We have quite a lot of advantages. We get the best events. We have a lot of the studios based in our countries. And of course, we speak the same language, so I think it just makes it easier than, say, our European or Australian brethren who are kind of much more further afield.
That's cool. That's good to know. I'm glad it's balanced, because I know I've been attending events for the past 8 years, and it seemed like there wasn't much going on when I first started, covering games and stuff. There wasn't as many events, and the Eurogamer Expo was just sort of kicking off around that time. But now it seems like things, like you said, are pretty much balanced, which is good. Good to hear.
Totally. I did Resd first proper UK event I did was Resd 2013, and it was tiny. Like, it was compared to what like Res has become now and EGX now, it's, you know, easily quadrupled in size. I don't know if you've been to any of the MCMs, but like MCM London is gargantuan. Yeah. It's still not as big as something like PAX East. I mean, that was 100,000 people in a single room. I've never seen anything like that in my life. That completely blew my head off. But, you know, we're certainly catching up, and we've got the event space and we've got the kind of buzz to draw in the crowd. So I think it's what you make of it. Like, if you get out there and you try to talk to these people, like, they will respond. And, you know, I think whenever devs have troubles, I think it comes down more to like their inability to network and communicate. Like, it's generally not a thing developers are that good with. But that shouldn't mean that just because you're in a location that's not got a lot of development. I mean, like, we're based in Eccles in Manchester, and there's nothing going on here games development wise. So we always have to travel a couple of hours in order to speak to the right people or do a Skype conversation like this in different time zones. But, you know, it's you'll get the contacts and you'll make progress in the industry as much as like the effort that you put into it.
Okay, cool. So do you go to like all the MCMs as well, like all the different Comic Cons, and like I think they have one in Birmingham and Manchester, I think, as well, and London. Do you go to all of them?
Not all of them. I try to be pretty tactical. With Unbox, we kind of went all out. So over a year and a half of the original development for the Steam launch, we did 25 plus events. So it was like 2 events a month, which is nuts like that. And I was at every single one of them. And that was from everywhere, from San Fran to New York, London, Birmingham, Manchester, all over the show. And I, you know, some of that was worth it, some of it wasn't, like, because all of it costs. Even you know, some events will pay for you to be there, but it still costs you to, like, you know, travel down or whatever, or get a hotel. So you've got to be really tactical with the events that you get to. You can't just shotgun blast them all. It comes down to what you need. Like, if I'm going to the Games Industry Summit, it's because I'm going there to raise money. But if I'm going to MCM, it's like, well, hopefully I have a space in the game spot. If I don't, well, I'm not going to be meeting investors there. I'm not going to be meeting publishers there. Might be meeting some journalists, but, you know, what would be the point? So unless I'm about to release a product. So I guess I did a lot of events over the past 2 years, and going forwards, and I recommend this to other indie devs, is only go to the ones that make commercial sense to you. Like, if you have an objective to achieve at that event, sure, go for it if it commercially makes sense. If it doesn't, maybe just save it for like a phone call down the line. If you want to meet somebody, but it's going to cost you $2,000 to get there, could you just Skype call them sometime? You know, save yourself a lot of pain.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I was looking up the game on Steam. It looks really good. I'm adding it to my wish list right now, actually.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah. We'll be pushing out all that content. Will be going out on Steam for free as well. The newbies adventure part of it. So the name will change, but if you've already got the game, that stuff will go up. And if you buy the game after July 26th, it will include all of that content.
Excellent. I think Max was going to say something.
Yeah, I think Max had something he about to say.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, so compared to when you started in the indie scene and when you guys started making games, how would you say that it's grown since you guys have started? Would you say it's grown for better or for worse? And like, what were your guys' like biggest struggles sort of starting out in like the indie scene and all that sort of stuff?
I guess it's not as simple as like a binary, like, yeah, it's grown or not. Like, some things have improved and some things have worsened, and some of those things are like the same thing. So there's definitely more indie titles. Like, that's obvious to anybody. There's just way more independent developers publishing games. The software over the past 2 years has become a hell of a lot more accessible. I mean, it already was come like 2014, 2015, but now that you can basically, you know, you can get Unreal for quote unquote free. There's a revenue share deal, but all the other engines have followed in their footsteps. They all offer certain packages and deals. Same with third-party software. Internet speeds are increasing, which makes it easier to work with people further afield. Our office now has fiber. You know, it's a big problem in the UK. I don't know how much of a problem it is in the US, but in the UK, we've had awful internet speeds for a very long time. We're further behind than pretty much any other Western nation. And that's been changing quite a bit, and that's helped working with people further afield. So in terms of the ability to work with people and the amount of content being produced, yep, that's increased. But is that increase in content a good thing? Not necessarily, because we're up against a lot more competitors. Like January alone of this year, there were 700 games that came out on Steam. I guarantee most of those were indie titles, and I guarantee most of them made absolutely no money. The number of indie developers who can get to game 2 and game 3 is incredibly slim. We're still basically on game 1, so we might not be one of those fortunate developers. So it's become way more saturated. It's become way harder to get attention. I think one of the main things that propelled indie games was the rise of the YouTuber and the streamer, and that world has changed massively. So 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, you could contact indie dev streamers as an indie dev, send them your game, get coverage. It was kind of a reciprocal thing. I'm giving you content to stream on your channel. You in return are kind of giving me views and sending people my way. It's become a lot more of a well-oiled machine now, and a lot of it is kind of financially driven. So to get access to bigger channels, there's a paywall that you've got to get through, or they're just not going to talk to you. And that completely makes sense. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, they have a portal to millions to tens of millions of viewers who could be translated into sales for yourself. They have value as big content creators with these big channels, so it kind of makes sense for them to be charging. But if you're an indie developer, do you have $50,000 to pay for one video or a couple of videos? Probably not. So it's become a lot harder to get. It's become a lot harder to get coverage, and coverage that really matters. Because the conversion rate on this stuff, like if you have a video from a popular YouTuber and it gets 1 million hits, you could expect a conversion rate of like 0.2 to maybe 0.5% of those views becoming sales. So it may be a couple of thousand, 5,000-10,000 would be amazing, but it probably isn't going to happen. The conversion rate's awful. So even a game that might get, like Unbox, for example, when we came out on Steam, we got something like 3-4 million views within a couple of months. That only translated to a couple of thousand sales. And you would think that it would translate to more. You'd think, that game's just, 10 million people have looked at that game. Oh, they must have just shifted like 500,000 units. No, not at all. It just doesn't work like that unless you're an extreme breakout success. And I know obviously those come around once in a blue moon, your Minecrafts. So it's become extremely hard to do that. I'd say publishers as well have become a lot more risk averse to indie developers. That you may notice that a lot of indie publishers, their portfolios have been shrinking each year. A publisher that might have had 15-20 games a year might now only have 5-10, or less than 5. And it's because most indie games are not making money. For every game that you fund development on, you've also got to fund the marketing budget. It's probably not going to make a return, and so they're trying to focus on really high quality titles that kind of speak to that brand's image. So like when you see a Devolver game, it's a Devolver game. That even if it's a funny game, point and click about clowns, or it's about gladiators getting their head smashed in or whatever, it's like there is a thing that ties all of those products together. So publishing has again become a much more well-oiled machine. It's become a lot easier to talk to these guys and know what they want and what they're looking for. In terms of them actually giving you cash, I think the chances of that has decreased massively, unless you've got something really special. So I kind of phrase this as, to round it off, like the indie gold rush has kind of ended. It started with open access software like Unity and Unreal, Xbox Live Arcade, that kind of stuff. It was massively bolstered by the rise of YouTuber and streamer, because that was basically free marketing, which freed us from needing journalists. It freed us from needing adverts on the sides of buses. So basically engines, marketing, development, all of it was cheap, and it was much easier to get your game out there. And we had the backing of huge names, like Sony with strategic content, and Xbox Live Arcade. Like indie was the new hot thing. That's all over. Like that gold rush is now petering out. There's nothing really new right now. Mobile as well. That was a huge thing. Mobile propelled hundreds of indie devs to success. That's all kind of standardized and become saturated. There's no new technology. There's no new software. There's no new route to market really for for indies to latch onto. So the gold rush is kind of over, and it's now about, well, how can you be a sustainable developer, not just an indie developer? How can you just be sustainable?
Well, it sounds like everything you said, like it makes it sound like really rough and daunting. So I gotta admire your dedication and your passion to keep going. And I wanted to ask as well, like you said, Steam is saturated, and of course, you know, PlayStation Network and Xbox Live, they're fairly, you know, they're fairly saturated, but probably not as much as Steam. But would you say that once you manage to get onto the Nintendo Switch, that might be something that gets your game to stand out because it's a smaller marketplace at the moment?
I definitely think so, and it's why we've been pushing so hard to get it on Switch as soon as possible. I kind of view that as like the only fertile land at the moment. So Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, they're all platforms you can make money on, but they're all kind of, they're in the middle of their lifespans. And that means they're not looking for like super exciting content. They're just looking for stuff to keep them going, to keep the machine working. Whereas the Switch and Nintendo are in a really interesting position where they've got a piece of hardware that is absolutely like the hot item for this year, and probably will be for the next couple of years. So hardware-wise, it's selling absolutely phenomenally well. They have a content problem. There's no content on it. Once you've played your 50, 60 hours of Breath of the Wild, maybe played Mario Kart again with your mates, there's not a whole lot of content there. There's a hell of a lot of developers trying to get onto the platform, and so I kind of envision a mini rush and possibly a long-term exodus to the Switch, because the Nintendo kind of ethos at the moment has been extremely indie friendly, and I think it's because they have a content problem, and they knew they were going to have a content problem from way before the platform launched, because a lot of the big names, you know, they all got burnt with the Wii U. And if you looked at how companies like Activision and EA and everyone was talking about the Switch running up to launch, it was, oh, you know, we're, you know, optimistic, but you know, cautiously optimistic. And that it shows that no one was willing to put major IPs front and center on the Switch launch, because they wanted to see how it could go. And the buzz, I mean, when I met Max at PAX, I think we talked a bit about this, that there was so much chatter, because that was a couple of days before the Switch came out, and it was split right down the middle. Everyone I was speaking to, indie developers, publishers, half of them were going, Nintendo's done, half of them were going, Nintendo is going to bring about a new renaissance. It's going to be the bee's knees. I was one of those people. I was completely behind this thing, absolutely knocking it out of the park. But there was a lot of people split. Now everyone's going, oh, wow, yeah, I've got to get on Switch. All the naysayers are going, oh, isn't it great? Yeah, we should get content on it. And so, yeah, I think there's going to be a big rush towards the platform. And it's just about how quickly can you get your foot in the door. And right now, I'd say we're in the lead against 95% of our competitors, which is awesome. And I hope we can get it on before that rush really hits, because yeah, that helps us stand out massively.
Wow, that's fascinating insight. Especially about like the conversion rates and everything like that in terms of YouTubers. I had no idea that was the case. I would have expected it to be so much more.
But yeah, that's kind of my anecdotal metrics, but I've not seen any evidence. I mean, it's hard to prove this stuff as well. It's hard to show, yeah, 1 million views converts into X number of sales. But I've done this for like 2 years, just adding up from kind of quote unquote important channels. So if you've got sort of a couple of, 10,000 and up, if you add in the first week or two those channels' views up, and then look at like Steam Spy and kind of roughly correlate, okay, how many sales have they got? You can see that the conversion's awful. And I've spoken to a lot of you developers as well who have had their games get millions of hits. And to be fair, we experienced it as well. We had Dan CDM, Yogscast, and a whole bunch of other channels give us millions upon millions of views, and it did not convert to tens of thousands of sales. Not immediately. We've had a very nice steady stream of sales over the past year, steadier than I was expecting. And so we've actually gone over our estimates. But it's very obvious that if in the past those conversion rates were really high, it's definitely petered off, and it's not great now. But that's not saying it's bad. I mean, if we end up getting 1 million views from a single video, great, because that is somebody out of that crowd will buy our game. So that's awesome.
Damn. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it is, man. That's a lot. It's a lot. Definitely a lot of things that I think you go through with indie development, especially because just a lot on you to have to deal with. But hey, we definitely will do our part and spread the word on the game, and yeah, just make sure more people are aware of what you guys are working on. I also definitely hope that the Switch venture does work out. Because yeah, I think the device is getting a lot of attention now for all the right reasons. Well, the online is another issue I'm not going to go into, but yeah, I just hope that everything does work out with the Switch, because and that you guys are able to benefit from the success of it, because I have seen a lot of indie games coming over to Switch, so definitely hope that your game does stand out and does get the attention it deserves.
Yeah, thanks, definitely, man. And I think the fact that we're going to be at the on the Nintendo Gamescom booth in the middle of August, and so I think the fact that because we've got a very Nintendo-looking game and Nintendo took an interest in it pretty early on, that we have a good shot of being able to not only stand out above the rest of indie devs just because we're going to be one of the only games on the platform, but also having Nintendo behind us saying yep, we want to push this title, we want to see it succeed. It's the best shot in the world that we've got, so we'll take it, and we just got to see how it plays out.
That's great to hear that you've got you're going to be at Nintendo's booth at Gamescom. I'm sure you'll get a lot of eyeballs with that. And before we move on as well, I just wanted to say I'm sure you've opened up a lot of eyes of people who have considered indie game development and who are already indie game developers or working on something or working on ideas. I feel like you've dropped a lot of insight that's going to help a lot of people.
Well, yeah, hopefully that's helped. I often feel like I'm just rambling about nonsense because I honestly, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about things from my perspective, having done this now for a couple of years. And I think anybody who wants to get into indie development now, they're very brave, because there's a lot of people currently trying to get out of it, and I don't blame them. So trying to get into this stuff right now, just so long as you've got a plan and you have a skill set, you're actually good at this stuff, that's the best shot that you can have. Good luck to you.
Well, hey man, your experience is still experience. It's its own story, That's absolutely insane. And like you were saying earlier, you guys seem to be a bit luckier in terms of most indie developers. So that's really, really cool to hear your side of things and your insight on it all.
Yeah, I think it's really easy. Like I said, we've been through a lot in the past 2 years, and I think it's very easy to get kind of downtrodden and go and feel doom and gloom. But it's well, actually, yeah, we're extraordinarily lucky. For every bad thing that's happened to us, something better has happened to us afterwards. Because if it didn't, we wouldn't be here. And a lot of that is about making your own. I always think, you do make your own luck. Lucky things don't just happen. It's something comes along and saves you. Definitely. Because you put in the work, and the team here. Again, I've barely had a hand in really making the game. I did a lot at the start of development. It's been the team who have just absolutely grafted the hell out of this and got us to a point where taken us from a game where it was just a box rolling around a room to having what we have now. And if they'd not kept doing that, I don't think people would have believed in the product enough to help us when we really needed them to. So again, we have been very lucky. I think it comes down to the team just working as hard as they have, but it also comes down to the fact that there's so much shit that you can't prepare for. There's been stuff that's happened to us, and we have a lot of developer friends, and some of the stuff that's happened to them is just so stunningly unfair that you're like, wow, who up in heaven did they piss off to incur such wrath? Because it's just some stuff's just completely unfair. But a lot of those guys turn the situation around. It's because they just graft the hell out of it. So, no matter what, there's indie devs who are going to make money. A lot of people talk about this indie apocalypse stuff and say oh, it's the end. No one's going to make any money out anymore, and we're all dead. And it's I don't think that's the case. I think it's just things have gotten harder than they used to be, but it's always been blisteringly hard doing this. So, it's just another day.
Yeah, I would say that I don't necessarily want to say evened out, but I feel the uphill, the trend of indie games being like as unique and popular as they once were is definitely evened out and like flattened up, since there's so many, like you were saying. Like you go on Steam, there's a bunch of new games almost every single day. So it's a lot more to stand out and make sure that your game stands out among, like, not the trash, but the rest of the stuff, you know.
No, you can say it. There's a lot of trash there.
There definitely is, but there's definitely a lot of there's a lot of good stuff out there as well too, and some of the good stuff doesn't get revealed very well either.
Yeah, and this industry, I'm like, I know that you'll experience this because you've been to like PAX and stuff. Like everyone's happy. Like you ask someone, how's it going? It's going great. Yeah, we're doing awesome. We've got a game. It's coming out. You know, nothing's gone wrong. Everyone paints everything as this like super rosy picture, and you kind of got to from a marketing perspective. The reality is behind the scenes, everyone's screaming and going, I don't know what's happening next. Should we release on Switch? No, it's probably going to fail. But my company's about to die. And my lead designer's just quit. And everyone's having constant nightmarish level issues. So I've an insane amount of respect for any developer who's been doing this for like 5+ years, because just the amount of hassle, just day-to-day stuff that you've got to put up with, the amount that you've got to play the game just to keep your head above the water and stay alive, like it's crazy. And then people think like the big success stories, like, oh, they have it easy, and it's like, no, they have it even harder. Like, well, once you're successful in this, once you've made a bit of money, like all eyes are on you, and people are going to expect more from you. Gamers are a very passionate bunch. You look at how fans react to like maybe a sequel that doesn't do as well, or like a game that gets delayed. And you can get shredded by the very people who you are trying to provide content for. And that can be, I mean, I've not really experienced that too much ourselves. We've had negative reviews on Steam, but we've not had somebody go, I've been a diehard fan of yours for 10 years and I despise you because this patch made my day bad. It's like, that must be rough. Like, it must be super rough to deal with that. So I have huge respect for anyone who is able to keep doing this and make it sustainable and stay positive, because it's one of the most non-positive environments I've ever existed in. I mean, I love it. I'm not trying to be too negative about this stuff, but it's it's crazy how people are able to keep going.
Yeah, I think the thing that really opened that sort of stuff up to me was Indie Game the movie, like without question. Like that painted the picture to be so difficult for indie developers, and those were like uber successful games, and they still went through so much hell just to get them out there. It's really fascinating stuff.
Well, that, I think the point where he was where Phil Fish was talking about the contractual dispute, I guess they had over IP ownership of Fez. I mean, we've certainly had our experiences with that. I know a lot of developers, like the legal stuff you never hear about. I thought that was super odd that he even put that out on film, just because that could have affected things massively. I guess because it was broadcast way after the deal was signed. But usually you have things where you're not allowed to talk, like non-disclosure, where you can't even talk about this kind of stuff. Everybody I know has had like pretty major legal disputes, IP disputes, like really crazy things happen. And so it's not just that you're trying to make a game and you're trying to market it and you're trying to keep your fans happy and you're trying to make any amount of money just to survive. You probably have some kind of massive legal dispute going on with a disgruntled employee, or IP ownership, or a dispute with your publisher. Like, there'll be something happening behind the scenes that you can't see as a consumer. I think it adds to that frustration consumers have about games development. They go, why is this game taking so long? Or like, why does this game suck? Like, why did this patch not fix all the things I wanted to do? Why won't they fix this thing? And it's like, it's because the guys behind the scene are fighting 25 fires. They've got enough water for 10. Unfortunately, they can't deal with the fire that you want putting out. And they can't even talk about why. They can't even give you a satisfactory answer. And so all you can do is just get frustrated and go, oh, that sucks. Why won't they fix it? And it's like, they can't even tell you why they can't fix it, let alone fix it.
Damn. Yeah, no, that's absolutely insane. I had no idea that there were so many IP struggles and stuff like that. That's fascinating. That really is.
There was a game I saw. It's just dropped out of my head what the name is. That's come out. It's the this daddy dating sim, Dream Daddy, from the Game Grumps guys.
The Game Grumps. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone absolutely losing their minds over it being delayed by a couple of days. And the comments say, telling them like, you should have planned this better, and you should, how can you run a company like this? And again, it's just like, that must cut. So like, to be a dev on the other side, because you have no idea what they must be going through. Like, if you've never launched a product before, not just games, if you've never launched something, you can't possibly know how stressful it is. Trying to coordinate every single thread, the marketing, the platform holders, your own developers, day one patches, embargoes on reviews, making sure people aren't talking about it before they should. There's so much to keep on top of and stuff comes out of nowhere. Like we have a bug right now in the game. I think it's been fixed, but we have a bug that is a draw distance bug. So sometimes, when trees are really far away, they'll pop out of existence because they're really far away. There's this bug that sometimes does the reverse. When you get close to a tree, it makes it disappear. We fixed the bug, but we've read it on the UE4 forums that sometimes the bug can just pop right back up. Like, your fix will basically be undone. No one has an explanation for it. There will be, but no one knows it yet. And all of a sudden, like, your build will suddenly have trees popping out when you're right next to them, and it looks awful. What happens if that happens to you? If the build that you submit, you didn't test everything because you've got a massive game that you've got to run through, and there's a part of the game where it's doing that, and now that goes out, and now you've got a day one patch to do, but there's a delay for some reason, and now you've got to delay the game, except, there's a knock-on effect that suddenly everything can be fine 1 second, and then one tiny problem, like trees aren't culling properly, flips everything on its head. And now, because of that, and you can't talk really about any of this stuff to the consumer because you're under NDA with Unreal or PlayStation or whoever's involved in the problem, and you've got consumers telling you that, like, you're the scum of the earth, and you've ruined my day, and I pre-ordered this, I'm going to cancel, I'm going to tell, because you see these comments all the time, and these Dream Daddy guys, they delayed the game by like 3 or 4 days, and just I was on Xbox. I played Xbox Live for like 10 years, so like nothing upsets me. I've been called absolutely everything, and I've probably called other people absolutely everything. I got a very thick skin. Despite that, I still have a shred of empathy, and when I see people getting treated like that, when I know how much effort they've put in, I know that they're doing 20-hour days, and they're doing everything in their power to keep every single one of these threads, in line. To then have your core fan base basically, call you scum. Like, how do you keep going? how do you keep your head up and keep? I've not experienced it, so I don't know. I just don't know how you deal with that. It must be horrible.
Yeah, it's always the negative comments that hit the hardest. For like every 25 positive comments, that's the one negative that stands out and affects you the most.
Especially when it's like when it gets personal, it's like, you shouldn't be running a company.
Yeah.
You're scum. You've done this. It's always biting. It always cuts straight to the soul.
Like those people need to chill. Like it's really ridiculous how mad some people get over some things that happen in gaming. It really makes no sense to me sometimes. I will never understand it.
I can get it from a consumer standpoint. I'm very consumer focused. I like the customer to be happy. The whole reason I'm doing this is to build things for customers, and so my ultimate goal is to make sure that they're happy. So I understand, you might have taken the day off to play this game.
Yeah.
So I can getting angry, and I think at the same time, consumers, especially, well, maybe not necessarily especially in games, but definitely there's a lot of gamers that, are huge gaming fans. It's their life, but they don't have any understanding of the process of making games. And I think if they learned just a little bit, if they dug into and spoke to developers, or just learned a little bit more about the world that we live in, you'd understand that, like, we're just as pissed that we're delaying the game by 3 days as you. In fact, we're way more pissed, and it's probably because something catastrophic has gone wrong. And if we were to release the game now, you'd be more pissed off than you are now, because you'd be playing something that would be broke. It would be complete crap. So, like, everything we do as developers is for the consumer. Like, we're doing everything to deliver a product to you. We never, or we very rarely, I mean, I guess there are instances of developers, kind of going off in the deep end, but it's very rare for a business or a developer to intentionally, like, spitefully do something to the consumer base, because that would be the death of your business. So why do that? So I think just a little empathy both ways. Like, I get why consumers get really, really annoyed when things don't go their way, especially when they've pre-ordered, or they're about to put money on the table, or they book time off. At the same time, it's like, please understand, like, there's a lot going on behind the scenes with any creative product, and just a bit of appreciation of like what goes into making a game would help. And I think it would make people a bit more empathetic as to why these things happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like I totally understand that. Like they like getting sad and kind of angry over it. I just feel like they take it too far sometimes. It's really like when you were saying like they're doing like personal attacks on you and stuff. It's like, all right, chill. Like, come on, there's obviously more going on than just they're not doing this to piss you off, you know?
Yeah, I think the personal attacks, that's way too far. We've seen a lot of that with a lot of games recently. It's still ongoing, but I'm very glad that you brought up this particular discussion, because I wanted to use this and segue to the next topic, because it is a question I have for pretty much everybody on this panel. And Andrew, you can answer this question as well. Now, we received news this week that Aaron Flynn over at BioWare is leaving the company after 17 years, and that Casey Hudson is now taking over as the GM. Now, the question I had in terms of segue, do you think that this move was done as a response to how Mass Effect Andromeda was received? Or do you think that this is just business as usual and this is just a normal move where somebody, after they spent a lot of time at a studio, they just want to take a break and leave, or is it more to it?
I guess from my experience with this stuff, yeah, there's definitely more to it, and it's usually it's usually extremely political. People exiting and re-entering companies, especially when it's switcheroos like this. Like, there's usually huge things happening behind the scenes. Like people who are instrumental in building things. Like if you run a company or you lead a project, if you command a lot of people, you're probably really good at communicating, networking, and building up like a power base. And so, very much like politics, there'll be a lot of different interested parties who want certain people doing certain things. So I couldn't possibly comment on like what's actually happening here, but it's definitely not going to be some kind of straightforward answer like, you know, the public was angry at this game, so we're bringing this guy back in, and he's gone, yep, and the other guy's moving out, he's gone, yeah, you should do this job because you'd be better at it. Like the answer will be stunningly complex, and it will be made up of dozens to hundreds of different people's self-interest, all sort of converging on, we need this guy in this position for whatever reason.
I like that answer. That's a very good answer. So, Max and Gary, you know, I know you guys are huge Mass Effect fans. So what do you think?
We're huge Mass Effect fans.
Whoa, we're.
Oh, sounds a little rough there, buddy.
It's very interesting to me, because I know that also part of it was that, or part of the reason Andromeda is the way it is because I know that a lot of the main team was working on Anthem, so they can't entirely be blamed for this. So I wonder how much the Casey Hudson and Aaron Flynn thing has to do with that specific side of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I know, I think they were really kind of banking on Mass Effect Andromeda being, you know, good and being well received and everything. And I know that the guy that's leaving, he's in charge of, he was like the lead director for Anthem. So I'm wondering if, you know, there's anything internally, like internal conflicts where, you know, maybe he needed a lot more resources for Anthem or something, and that kind of crippled Andromeda or something. Like, it could be a lot of internal politics, I think. But I am glad that Casey Hudson is back, but it's kind of weird because he completely left the company, right? Like, completely.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. This is just out of nowhere.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird that now he's, you know, coming back, but you know,
and like he gave a pretty vague reasoning as to why.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty vague.
Well, yeah, he just said he needed a break, right? He had to take a break. So
that means that there's more going on. There's no, there is so much stuff happening behind the scenes there. There is no, I just decided I'd just leave this business and then come back at a critical point in its development. Yeah, sure. No, like there's huge stuff going on there, but what's going on, like, we'll never hear. And again, it's probably because legally no one's allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
Very good point. So, Mr. Singletary, you have any thoughts on this particular topic?
Not so much. I haven't followed BioWare very, very closely. I kind of just laughed off the whole thing with Andromeda being kind of a shit show. But and I'm a fan of the original trilogy, not so much the third one as much as the first and second. But I hoped that Andromeda would be a really good game, and I'm still gonna play it eventually. At this point, it's like I'll catch it when it's like $10-$20 or something like that. Is the headset still cutting out? Are we good?
Yeah, it's cutting like in and out a little bit. We can still hear what you're saying though.
Okay, that's weird. I'll switch over to mic before the next part, but a different mic. But yeah, Anthem, I'm really looking forward to. That looks really awesome. I hope it does not stink, but you know, with the moves behind the scenes, I think somebody said it's kind of we don't know exactly what's going on with that, and we just gotta hope for the best, you know.
Absolutely, yes, we definitely got to hope for the best. So, Dana, do you have any thoughts on this? I don't know if you are a Mass Effect fan, so you may not care about this, but I definitely want to.
No, I am, and I was one of those people who just looked at people, weird when they tried to change the ending. It was like, what? Because I'm from the period where you had that game, you had bugs, you had a screwy ending, and that's it. We didn't have patches, we didn't have fixes, we didn't have anything to protest against because they wasn't going to change anything. So I'm going to remain on a positive note and see how this goes, and hopefully there won't be any type of complaining going on for the future, and they won't give in to fans.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, we'll see. But that is, of course, again, on the negative side of things. One last thing I will ask about this topic now. Do you think that with Casey Hudson coming back, is your faith somewhat restored that BioWare is actually going to continue to make good stuff now that he is back in the fold? Do you think that he's going to bring back any of the other franchises that they had or were working on? Or do you just want to take a wait and see approach?
Yeah, I'm going to be taking a wait and see approach. Because I don't feel like they should touch Mass Effect for a while unless they're going to go like 100%, balls deep on it and, like get the original team on it and everyone, involved and, put a lot of time and attention and focus on it. I don't think they should, touch that at the moment. Obviously, they have Anthem coming, so we need to see, more of that and what that's going to be like once it comes out. And what I am worried about is Dragon Age, because that's one of my favorite RPG series of all time. Even though Charles is giving me a funny look right now, I don't care. That's one of my favorite IPs from BioWare. So I hope that they don't mess that up. I hope that they, if they're making, I think they are working on another Dragon Age, so I hope that comes out, and I hope that it's it's the same level of quality as BioWare games of the past.
Yeah, you hope it's the same level of quality as Andromeda, right? That's what you meant to say.
Nah, I don't want it, because even Inquisition was solid, but I feel like it was kind of taking a steer into this new direction that they're in now. And Inquisition was better than Andromeda, but if they come out with another Dragon Age, I hope that it's not like Inquisition, because I felt like the company direction was changing at that point. So I hope that it's something a lot better than Inquisition. Go ahead, Max.
I'm 100% with you on that and all of that. That's exactly it. And my biggest worry is that even though Casey is back, I know at the end of the day, it's EA that makes most of the major calls. So how much power does he really, really have, in terms of bringing these franchises back to the way they were and that sort of stuff? Because everyone is going, or not everyone, but a lot of these big companies are going towards the service-based games like Anthem and Destiny and everything like that. And who's to say they won't start throwing their biggest IPs in terms of that and like that situation? Like we know Star Wars, KOTOR, one of the greatest single-player RPGs of all time, is now a freaking MMO. Who's to say that Dragon Age, the next Dragon Age game, won't be like that? Inquisition was kind of like an MMO. Like you were just saying, they went into a different direction, and that seems to be the way. Like Andromeda followed a similar formula to Inquisition. It was weirdly not as fleshed out, not as good, but it was still similar. And Anthem is obviously kind of like an MMO as well. So it's really weird. A lot of the single player part of BioWare is just kind of gone right now, and I do think that most of that is EA's fault. But obviously we can't know for sure. But I just really hope that Casey being back will return some of that. But I feel like he's going to have to fight pretty hard if that's even his intention.
Good point. Good point. Does anyone else want to chime in their thoughts on this topic? Yeah, that's it. That's it. So we'll see what happens with BioWare. Yeah, I'm glad Casey Hudson is back. I'm not really sure what he is going to be doing in terms of, you know, what project he's going to be making better. Obviously, Anthem at the top of the list now, but we'll see.
Did he returned as head, right? Like his original position?
Yeah. He's the GM, so he's going to be overseeing, I think, everything that is in that actually happens over the next couple of years.
Okay, cool.
But you know, we'll see what happens. It's to be determined. So let's move on to the next topic. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and let's jump into this right now because I know Dana has a lot to say. Dana, I believe that you've taken notes on everything that took place at San Diego Comic-Con. So feel free to give us a rundown, and then we can give our thoughts on what we liked and didn't like from San Diego Comic-Con.
All right, I have notes as you stated. All right, so it was a lot of different games and stuff that, oh, here we go. All right, first we're going to start off with Marvel versus Capcom. Now, I'm going to just say some of the new stuff because we already learned a lot of stuff over at D23. So what we got was a new gameplay trailer that features Spider-Man, Frank West, and Thanos. It showed them fighting. It showed some of the Infinity, the Mind Stone, Yellowstone, and how that comes into play. I really liked that aspect, and I liked how the graphics was. It's very colorful. It's a lot of things that hopefully will make for a great game. Marvel's Power United VR. They announced that you can play as Deadpool. He has his katanas, his SMGs. He has his toilet plunger, so you can beat people in the head as you plunge some toilets. There was the Marvel Future Fight that had, oh gosh, I'm going to botch this name. It was Kid Kaju from Monsters Unleashed. And Apocalypse is also going to be in the game. Marvel Contest of Champions. Spider-Man is very big now. Spider-Man Homecoming had the characters of and Green Goblin. Then there was the Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, which is the third chapter from the 5-chapter series. It's going to have Gamora's backstory. It showed Gamora and Nebula fighting on moving platforms. It showed a very hilarious slap fight between Nebula and Star-Lord. And that will be available on August 22nd. Then we had Spider-Man for PS4. It's a little more of a backstory. There wasn't any type of gameplay footage that was shown. There was a concept art of Spider-Man fighting Manhattan in a subway, and it looked really, really good. They're saying that that's how the game is going to open up. The game is going to be open world, and you're going to see moves from Spider-Man that you've never seen before, maybe a little bit of some Spidey senses. They still did not talk about Miles Morales, which is the one thing that I really, really want to know. But aside from that, we're going to have some Aunt May backstory. She's actually working for Mr. Negative alter ego, Martin Lee, as a volunteer. So that should be interesting. And if anyone watched Homecoming, maybe they're going to do a little, oh my gosh, your nephew is Peter Parker situation. We also have some big news coming out from Call of Duty World War II. Give me a minute. It's going to be a lot. We have, okay, so the plan for it is going to be a slow horror story they want to create. It's going to be less jump scares and more of like a slow progression where just a lot of tension, it builds up, and you're going to just be scared that way. We're going to get a lot of mystery chests that's going to be full of wonder weapons, and there's going to be tons of Easter eggs. They also announced the characters and who we're going to be seeing playing these wonderful characters. The big name, obviously, is David Tennant, who, as we all know, Doctor Who. He's going to be playing the role of Drostan Heim. Forgive me if I'm butchering these names. I don't speak German. Or Scottish, apparently. He is a Scottish antiquities expert, and he was in prison, and they only allowed him to be released from prison if he worked for the good guys, kind of like a little Suicide Squad situation going on there. Basically, they're saying that this game is not for kids, solely based on the fact that he curses a lot. So if you're like sensitive to the ears and you want to stay pure, do not play this game. Eloy, oh gosh, the girl who plays Elektra in Daredevil, whose name I cannot pronounce, she's going to be playing Olivia Durant. She's a French resistance fighter, and she's an art historian. Basically, her reason for fighting is because her father and her grandfather was kidnapped and captured and then tortured and then killed by the Nazis. So she has a lot at stake playing the good guy in this role. This is going to be her very first acting job. So she's very excited about that. She says that it allowed for her to have more freedom than, say, playing Elektra in Daredevil. And she also swears a lot, just like the David Tennant character, except for everything's in French. So we're going for like an international bad language game. They also announced Ray Vines, who is going to be the 4th playable character at the con, but he was there via Skype. He had a little video chat, and basically he's just saying that he just kills people. He kills zombies, and that's just his goal, is just to kill everything in sight. There was also Catherine Winnick, who plays the role of Marie Fisher. She was born in Germany. She decided to leave the family business, and she's a weapons maker. So for her, she said it was an extremely fun character to play. There's going to be a lot of weapons that you're going to be able to use in the game. So you're going to be able to utilize her character by doing that, and she's very excited for that. They announced that it's going to release on November 3rd. And so far, it seemed like a good con for them. They didn't really show too much new stuff, but so far it wasn't bad. We also had, they announced Mega Man is going to be a movie now, which I don't know how that's going to work out, but it's supposed to be live action.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to have the directors from Catfish. So that'll probably suck. They also announced new seasons of Batman, Wolf Among Us, and that is pretty much, they said that Batman, The Enemy Within is going to debut its first chapter on August 5th. They said that The Walking Dead, A New Frontier is going to arrive in 2018. They talked about The Wolf Among Us and how it's supposed to be gritty and violent, and it's going to be more of a thriller. And that is going to debut in 2018 as well. So that is so far everything I'm going to say in a high-pitched voice.
Yeah. Okay, first and foremost, very good notes. Very, very, very detailed information. We're going to talk about the Telltale stuff a little bit later because I think everybody has something to say about that news. But
yeah,
I'll just say this. Yeah, a lot of gaming stuff which I thought was interesting. You mentioned the Marvel vs. Capcom stuff, yeah. And I don't really care too much about that game because after I saw the Dragon Ball Z game, it was a wrap for me. But I will try it out just to see how it is. But yeah, I mean, overall, there's a lot of gaming stuff. So one question I did want to ask, and you know, you don't need to really describe this. I definitely want everybody's opinion. What are your thoughts on the trailers? Let's talk about the good and the bad trailers. We don't need to talk about what happened in the trailers, because I think everyone saw the majority of the trailers that came out of San Diego Comic-Con. But in your opinion, I'm going to ask everybody, what were the trailers you thought were good, and what were the ones you thought were bad?
Oh, can I just really say really quick? They're going to fix Chun-Li's face.
Oh, what? In what in the Street Fighter V game?
Yes, they're fixing her face. They heard.
Wait, what's
No,
wrong with her face?
in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Marvel vs. Yeah,
What's
they're
wrong with her
fixing
face?
Her face was
She
funny.
looked like a baby. One. It's just really weird. You should look up the screenshots, man. It's bad.
Oh, I did not know this.
But that just shows that I'm not really looking forward to the game, because if they have to go back now and fix her face.
Yeah. That's okay. Well, we'll see about that. But no, the trailers that you liked and disliked. Go ahead.
Me? Oh, okay. Basically, I really liked everything that came out of Call of Duty. That seemed to be the most kind of exciting. Basically, from the Capcom versus Marvel, I was kind of underwhelmed. I just really didn't care. So those are my two.
Oh no, I meant the actual films.
Oh, the films.
The films and shows. Like what? Now you don't need to describe what happened in the trailers. You know, we can tell people, well, you need to see this trailer if you didn't see it. I'm curious to know what you liked and disliked of the trailers that we saw. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, obviously, it's going to be Infinity War. I urge you to do a lovely search for it. But Thanos throwing a planet, and we're going to see all the different characters come together in their struggles, and Captain America looking like a bearded old wise man. To me, that was the best. I was looking forward to that the most, obviously, as is everyone else. I actually was more taken aback and surprised by some of the Gotham trailers that they released. They're basically Bruce Wayne is going to finally be Batman, so I don't know how that's going to come into play. That show is already, it's completely off the rails in the sense of it doesn't make any sense, and the canon's just all screwed up. But they're finally giving fans what they wanted, which is weird because they complained that we would never see Batman except for the very last season of the final episode. So look like they caved in. So yeah, Thanos is my top choice, obviously, and my least is gonna have to be. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to just probably go with. Shoot.
Gotham.
Gotham? Yeah, Gotham was just, I mean, they had a really great trailer, but in the terms of canon, nothing really made any sense, and it was really, really confusing. So it just looked like they threw together a bunch of characters with dramatic music.
Okay. All right. That sounds good to me. Charles, how about you let us know what your picks were for the good and bad trailers, if there were any bad ones?
Bad is absolutely Gotham. Bottom of the barrel. Way at the bottom.
But you have a 40-year-old Ivy.
Way at the bottom. Like way down there. Like it's the gap between that and whatever comes next is vast. Very vast. But at the top, are we counting Infinity War even though it's not officially out?
It's out online.
Yeah, we count it.
We count it. Okay. The trailer for that was the trailer for that was pretty dope. But I've got to say the absolute best trailer that I saw is Stranger Things Season 2, actually. That trailer, that's like one of the best trailers I've seen for a thing ever in life. Like the way it was cut, edited, the mix of thriller that they used, it was fantastic. And I mean, it helps that the show is really good. Netflix has to be having the largest of parties realizing that they have one of the best TV shows to come out in a long time. So yeah, that's definitely my favorite for sure, easily.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to agree with that. Max, how about you go next? Because I saw you've already started talking. So yeah, your what you liked and what you disliked trailers.
I, like Charles was saying, the Stranger Things season 2 trailer is incredible. I remember after them announcing that there would be a season 2, I was kind of like, okay, I don't know why they're doing that. But after seeing that trailer, I'm like, that's absolutely incredible. I really liked the Thor 3 trailer. I think it's a nice direction for them to be going in, and hopefully this will be the first really good Thor movie. Like Thor 2 was decent. It was nowhere near as bad as the first one, but I really liked Thor 3, or the trailer for Thor 3, and I really hope that turns out to be as good as it looks. And then I saw the Justice League trailer, which I thought was okay. It looked to me like they're trying a little bit too hard to kind of copy Marvel now in terms of like kind of being funny and stuff like that, but we'll have to see. Maybe that'll work out for them. You know, obviously I want that movie to do well, but a lot of their stuff hasn't been the best lately. Yeah, right?
It won't. It'll fail.
But we'll have to see on that one. Other than that, I didn't see too much of the stuff going on. I was pretty busy this weekend, but some of that stuff, that was some of the stuff I was able to catch, and I was happy to see. I have to play catch up after the show.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to go to Mr. Lugo next because he is back now. We're talking about the trailers that we liked and disliked from San Diego Comic-Con. So the floor is yours.
There was a lot of good stuff dropping from Comic-Con, particularly from the Marvel camp. A lot of the trailers that Marvel was dropping, even though they didn't drop everything, because they didn't show the new Black Panther footage, they didn't show the Avengers Infinity War footage, but from what they did show with Thor Ragnarok, with the Defenders, you know, things like that, and also the teases for Captain Marvel. I feel like all that stuff was like really, really good. And that Thor Ragnarok trailer was very hype. A lot of people were very excited when they saw it on Twitter when it dropped. And that movie can't come fast enough. Even though it's coming out in November, I think a lot of people, after seeing that, they're pretty much ready to go watch it right now. But granted, we're going to have to wait a couple more months. And it's going to be very, very cool by the time we get to that point. Because more than likely, not only will we probably get the official drop of the Avengers Infinity Wars teaser, but probably more Black Panther at some point. That was some pretty good stuff. The Justice League trailer that I saw coming from Warner Brothers, I thought was pretty interesting. It was a good trailer. I think that they still have a long way to go with a lot of their stuff, just overall with their world building and everything going on with their cinematic universe. There's a lot of bad vibes all over the place with different rumors and news that's been dropping, particularly with Ben Affleck as Batman and the whole Batman solo movie. But from the trailer and also the teaser posters, by the way, word up to all the teaser posters from both camps that they were putting out there. The Thor Ragnarok poster looked pretty awesome. A lot of people were saying that it looked like an album cover for like a metal band, and I thought that was pretty dope. The same thing also for Black Panther. I thought that was really cool. It was just, again, it's those types of like teaser posters that isn't so cluttered. Well, granted, the Thor Ragnarok one was a little bit cluttered, but again, it looks more like an album cover, and it looks a little bit more organized as opposed to what we got with like Spider-Man Homecoming and a couple other different superhero films all over the place. But the one that I saw for Justice League, again, very reminiscent of an Alex Ross painting, very heavily inspired there. What they did with the logos and the text I thought was pretty interesting. I thought that was neat. But the trailer itself showed a lot of cool things. We got our first look, or at least our first glimpse at Steppenwolf. And we're also getting our first hints, or at least a couple of hints towards the end about Superman, which I'm glad that they haven't showed Superman just yet. I feel like that's a good tease, even though we know he's coming back. That's like a given. That's going to be a thing. But I like how they're not kind of, revealing how he looks completely in these teasers. So that way, when we finally see him in the movie, I think it's going to have a lot more emotional weight. I think that they're probably got something really cool planned for him. I don't know if necessarily we're going to get black suit Superman, but for whatever it is that they got planning, what they got going on, I'm hoping it's something special. And from all the signs, from what we've been seeing, the way they've been handling the marketing and the trailers, it seems like they're setting us up for something pretty cool. So overall, I liked what I saw. Again, Defenders was good. Some of the stuff from The Flash I thought was pretty dope. I saw the teaser trailer drop for that. Again, this was a good Comic-Con year, or at least a good year for Comic-Con with a lot of the surprises that we got. And I can't wait to see what else comes out eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Gary, How about you go next? I believe you are the last one before I go.
Yeah, as for what I liked, I definitely liked Stranger Things. I'm really looking forward to season 2 of that. Of course, Thor, that was amazing. I like that trailer. And as someone who's read Ready Player One, I liked that trailer too. Like that movie looks like it's going to be pretty fun, pretty exciting. And I also, I got to see the leaked Infinity War trailer, and that looks phenomenal. Like, I know which characters are going to be in that film, and I saw the Disney D23 when all the actors came out and everything. But just seeing that trailer, and it was a cam rip as well. Bear in mind, it was a cam rip. Like just seeing all those characters on screen together for the first time and stuff. Like I still geeked out like massively. Like. That I can't wait to see the full HD version of that trailer. As for what I didn't like, now let me just say that when a TV show like Breaking Bad has better CGI than the Justice League movie, like that's a problem. I think like that the CGI in that trailer was horrible, and they've done such a bad job with their character development and everything in their previous movies that I just don't care about any of these characters. And it just seems like a joke. Like it seems like it doesn't seem real. It seems like a spoof of a movie. Like I can't take it serious. And I think that's a real problem. And it's a shame because they have great actors in, the DC universe right now, but they're playing horrible versions of DC characters. And it's just sad. Like, you got people like Ben Affleck, Will Smith, and I can't remember what's Superman's name? I can't remember.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, Henry Cavill. Yeah. You got great people in these movies. It's just like it's terrible. Like the development of the characters and everything. Like they're just trying too hard. I feel like like they're trying to, like Max said, they're trying too hard to capitalize on what Marvel has done, and they haven't put in the time and the effort to create a world with depth that we should care about. And even though Wonder Woman was a good movie, I still don't care. Like, because it's just like, to me, the world is the universe that they've made is already broken, and I already don't care. So I feel like they've done a poor job handling those movies, and that trailer didn't get me excited at all. Seems like they were trying too hard to be cool. Flash seems like he's trying to imitate Spider-Man. Like, I just didn't like that trailer at all. So.
It's funny that you say that because that dude was supposed to be like up for Spider-Man, I remember. But yeah, I feel like they just rushed the cinematic universe together to catch up.
Yeah. Well, exactly. We're getting stories. We're getting Cyborg, and no one knows what the heck Cyborg is. We're not getting any type of backstory. I'm just seeing like a black man wearing armor, and I don't know what's going on. Terribly done job, and the special effects are atrocious. And this also. Remember, people, they're still reshooting. Josh Whedon took over because Zack Snyder's daughter committed suicide. So he's busy off with his family. And Josh Whedon took a look at the script, saw the dailies, and said, oh, no, we have to save this. He's reshooting a majority of that movie. That's how bad it is. So, yeah, it's a mess. And it's also really quick. Can I just say an honorable mention goes to Star Trek Discovery? That trailer, I had a tear in my eye. I was weeping. Very, very good. The only thing is that it's not available on CBS. The show will be available on CBS Access, which is basically like a Netflix. So you have to pay to see that show, which sucks even more.
Wait, which show?
Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sasha from The Walking Dead is elite.
Yeah,
that's the new Star Trek show that's been in limbo for a while. I'm a little worried about that show because of all the behind the scenes stuff that's been going on with it, but also they're borrowing a lot of elements from various other big like name properties that has been coming out as of late, and it's starting to lose its Star Trek identity. And I'm not talking about just the aesthetic and stuff, but like the first thing that you think of when you first see that trailer, or at least the teasers that have been coming out from it, the first thing I think of is Star Wars. Like as far as like the way that Rey looks and stuff. And I don't immediately think of that type of gritty type of rundown look at the future when I think of Star Trek. Because that's not Star Trek, or at least that's not what I've been accustomed to kind of like, you know, been introduced to since TNG and all the other shows all the way up to Enterprise at this point. It's just, that's just me and the way that I look at it though. And also everything else, like the news that's come out about it, about a lot of the turmoil with the way that's been shooting, and also the plans of how they're going to release that, I'm a little bit worried about it.
It still looked pretty. It made me cry.
Cry because you saw that Sasha is still alive, right? That's why she's in a new universe now.
The afterlife is Star Trek. She's somewhere in space.
Yeah. So you know, a lot of great thoughts so far. So I'm just going to try to keep mine very short. The trailer I enjoyed the most, I think Stranger Things season 2 was awesome. I mean, that trailer, you know, I'm a big fan of the Thriller song also. So yeah, I thought that they did a really good job on that. In terms of, if I'm talking about Marvel and stuff, yeah, Infinity War is fantastic. You know, the little footage that has leaked out there. I don't know why Marvel doesn't just release the footage now that it has leaked out there.
Leaked out right now, son. There's links now on Twitter right now for the Infinity War trailer from D23. I just saw this, and oh my god, that is hype as fuck. I'll tell you right now.
See,
hype as fuck.
So Marvel.
The D23.
The D23 footage, I put it in the chat for you guys now to see the full thing, like us here on the podcast. But everybody in the chat now,
It's
if you haven't seen
trailer.
it, yeah, from D23. Is it the same one they showed
at
at Comic-Con?
D23 in San Diego. Yes,
Okay, so yeah,
trailer.
that trailer, I'll tell you right now. I mean, you could only see it at an angle because of the way that it was shot and captured and leaked out. But it looks hype as fuck right now. Like, people were not lying how cool that is. Like, I could only imagine how everybody felt in the room when they saw that.
He throws the planet.
Like, that's incredible. That's crazy. That is going to be really. I'm surprised they didn't drop it though. I mean, if it's the same footage, I'm surprised they didn't want to drop it. What is it, online for everybody? Maybe again, they're probably going to polish up the trailer a little bit, or get more footage for an official trailer, which I think we'll probably get with Thor later on in November.
Well,
but even so,
yeah.
that looks fucking cool. I'll tell you right now.
Well, remember, nothing leaked from D23 until now, so that I don't think they was planning on releasing it until later. But the fact that there was so much leakage now, remember last year, because of the leak, they blamed Hydra and just released the whole thing. So I think by Monday, we're gonna easily get something.
Nah, I don't think so. Yeah, because you know, it also is the same thing. You could apply that same logic to the Black Panther footage that they showed at Comic-Con now. What was it, yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, but I think Infinity War trailer fantastic. If I have to say the thing that I was the least impressed with, I hate to be controversial, but I need to see more from Justice League, because the one issue that I said this on Twitter yesterday, you know, when you look at it, obviously you shouldn't make the comparison between Avengers and this, because the Avengers, they actually built this thing up over all of the movies. They had the single movies, so on and so forth. So, but that character development and the time it takes to develop all, you know, everything that's going on is something that is fantastic in and of itself. So obviously when I saw the Justice League trailer, yeah, it's a lot of action. You know, I don't really know too much about what's going on with the actual trailer itself. And I know they had a little bit of humor in there with the Flash character, which I was kind of like, well, I don't really care about that. But I just need to see more to be convinced. But obviously, I'm not saying the movie's going to be trash. I'm just going to say we need to see more, and we need to get some more context as to why I should care about these other characters when there is no backstory on any of them. So, you know, but we'll see. We'll see. But
and one thing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh no, one thing, just Black Lightning. CW is creating Black Lightning, and first Black superhero on television. Yay!
Also, Static Shock is coming to that as well. There's talk about Static Shock coming into the CW universe from that show and making its way to like Arrow and Flash and stuff.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yay for that. And when he's 40 years old, he's not, you know, crime fighting anymore. He's a local crime fighter. So he's going to be based in Chicago, and, you know, he's saving lives there. And then he later gets back into being a superhero because his daughter gets kidnapped. So it's going to be very interesting. We're not gonna get a back. It's not an origin story. They're gonna just basically dump us right into the Black Lightning, the whole canon, right there. So the fact, black superhero, waiting for that Miles, spinoff would be nice. Someone.
Hey, well, it could definitely happen. We'll see. But yeah, I'm glad to hear about that. I did see a little bit of that. They had an interview with the cast the other day that I did see. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of great stuff that's in the works. Some of it's coming very soon, and then some of it's coming within the next year. So a lot to get excited over. But we'll see. So any final thoughts on San Diego Comic-Con before we move on to the next topic?
I have a quick question that maybe Dana or Charles can answer. So in the TV show Gotham, right? So by the time Batman gets his suit and he becomes Batman, are all of the villains going to be in a retirement home? Because they introduced these characters into the show when he was a little boy. So the timeline is a little weird.
How I don't think they take time into consideration, since that Ivy just jumped from age 10 to like age 30. So I think they're basically going to have him be Batman now and just face everyone who's probably in their 30s. So probably a 17-year-old Batman facing a bunch of 30-year-old villains.
Interesting.
Did you include me in a question about Gotham? Did you say my name?
I thought you watched that.
Yeah, that's definitely a hell no. A hell no. We'll see. Yeah, Gotham has issues. As I said before, there are some fans, I guess, that love the show. So I need to meet those fans, because I haven't met any of them that actually enjoy the show. So I need to meet some of those people. But
it's still not bad. Not bad.
Well, no, you're right. It's not bad. It's horrible. So that's probably what it is.
Wow.
We'll see. But okay, we got two other quick topics to get into. This one is going to probably be really quick, but the other one's going to take up the most time. Of course, we now know about the June NPDs that came out. And of course, I'm just going to talk about the top 10. There was a list of the top 20, but really all that matters is the 10 games that were mentioned. So let's go ahead and let's start. Of course, we know number 10 was Horizon Zero Dawn. Surprising, right? Yeah, interesting. Number 9 was NBA 2K17. Number 8 was Overwatch. Number 7, Mario Kart 8. Number 6, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Number 5 was ARMS. Number 4 was Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. So that's very good. Number 3, surprise, surprise, Grand Theft Auto 5. Number 2, Injustice 2. And number 1, Tekken 7. So this is the sales for June. So did you guys have any thoughts on what did chart?
Before we jump into that, hey, Gary, could you, I had to throw my VR headset on because I'm trying to find that world that you apparently found that has me watching Gotham. Could you give me some towards that, please, sir?
I thought I saw you talking about it on Twitter before and stuff.
You clearly must have been playing some free VR game. You got things mixed up a little bit there, buddy.
Wait, that's not an iPhone. Like, what are you doing? You ain't got an iPhone.
No, because I'm a smart consumer, sir.
Oh, man. I don't know about that.
Well, there you go. That's the answer to the question. So, yeah, any thoughts on the June NPDs?
Oh, you want me to go first? Or?
Yeah, you can go first. If you have any thoughts.
Yeah. I think it's great that fighting games are like the top 2 games, because I feel like fighting games have been underrepresented for a long time. So it's good to see them, rise back to popularity on that level, to where we have 2 fighting games at number 1 and number 2. And we have more fighting games coming out soon as well. So I think that's a great thing. and always good to see Overwatch on there, of course. You know, I like that. Good to see Crash, and I know that Activision actually made a statement when this list was released. They made a statement to say that Crash was actually the best-selling game globally. So, you know, maybe not just in the US, but like globally, it was like the best-selling game, apparently, according to them. And I could believe that because in the UK, like when that game came out, the Crash remaster, everybody bought it. Like I saw people posting the game on Instagram who like I didn't even knew play games anymore. Like people who I think it was nostalgia. Like the nostalgia just took people by storm, and everybody just went out to buy that game for some reason. And probably a lot of them didn't complete it, but you know, I think that's definitely plausible that it was a top-selling game globally. And yeah, I mean, the rest of the list is like the usual suspects. I mean, it's good to see ARMS. You know, it's good to see that a lot of people are supporting Switch games. I think that that's positive, very positive for the future of the Switch, I think. And it shows that, you know, people are getting Switches and they are buying games for the Switch. I mean, we have Mario Kart in there too. So that's quite a big deal, I think. But everything else looks kind of standard, I think. So yeah, not too much more to touch on from me.
Sounds awesome. Max, you have any thoughts?
I'm pretty much in the same boat. None of this is too surprising. It is really cool to see some Switch games up there, though. Like 5, 6, and 7 are all Switch games, which is awesome. And we know that's only going to grow as like Mario Odyssey and Mario Rabbids and stuff come out. I do think it's kind of funny that not everyone has Grand Theft Auto by now. It's kind of like how Counter-Strike is always at the top of the Steam sales too. Like somehow not everyone has it by now. But no, it's a good list. You know, none of those games are bad to me. Like I enjoy all of those games. So yeah, it's a fine list. Not much to say for me either.
Yeah, I'll go ahead next real quick. Yeah, the list looks good to me. Very glad to see Tekken and Injustice both on the list. Grand Theft Auto 5, you know, Rockstar has done a great job supporting GTA Online, so I'm not surprised it's on the list. I am surprised it's this high on the list, but that's a testament to show just how many people are still into this game. And I am also glad that Crash did chart that high. Hopefully this means we'll get more titles in the future. But yeah, that's all I have to say about it. As for the Nintendo titles, ARMS, you know, I'm not really a fan of ARMS, but glad to see that there are some people out there that did pick up the game. And Legend of Zelda, glad to see that that's still on there also. But yeah, that's it for my thoughts. Mr. Lugo, do you have any thoughts?
It's just cool to see that a game like Crash is going to top the charts like that. It's a lot of that tells you something about a number of different things. It means that either one, people really like Crash Bandicoot or just like that style of Crash Bandicoot, and that could lead to other things, if not a new game. Hopefully Vicarious Visions actually gets the chance now to create their own original Crash that's, again, somewhat loosely based, if not modeled after the Insane trilogy. But also a lot of people want the Spyro collection. They want a Spyro HD collection or revisiting of the Spyro trilogy, which could be within the realm of possibility. I'm pretty sure that there's probably conversations going on now at Activision or PlayStation, or at least between the two, about something like that. As far as Tekken 7 and Injustice 2, yeah, that's cool. Again, those are great games. When I reviewed them, I said that they were phenomenal. That they offered a lot, especially, you know, being quality fighting games that present a lot of stuff besides the competitive aspect to it. Again, it goes to show you that people, when they buy fighting games, not just the competitive guys that go to Evo and stuff, but they like a lot of value with their game. They like a lot of stuff outside of that, you know, between story mode and other things that they could get lost in with them. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome. You have any thoughts, Dana?
Well, it's great to see people out there getting a Switch and able to afford the Switch, and it's not $600 anymore. So that's a plus. Also, like you guys said, a lot of the Crash Bandicoot, that's nostalgia. That's a good game, but it's a lot of nostalgia games that's coming out, and that's basically why it's on the list for so high, shockingly. And it's good to see people still playing Tekken 7. So I'm pretty pleased, not overall surprised.
Sounds good. And Mr. Singletary, you have any thoughts?
No, I don't have too much insight into that list. It sounds pretty good, but I echo what Dana said, that I'm happy that people are playing Tekken. I'm excited. I love that franchise. I think it's awesome that they're adding Geese to it, and it makes me really interested to see what they're going to do with that franchise going forward. I know everybody wants, or not everybody, I know I want Tekken cross Street Fighter, but with them adding Geese from King of Fighters and Fatal Fury, I think he was originally in. I'd love to see a large Tekken versus the world kind of game come out in the future. But yeah, that's all that I have to say.
Awesome. Sounds good. Yes. So yeah, we now going to jump to our final topic for today, and this is obviously a discussion that there's a lot to really say. I'm pretty sure we all have something to say about this, but obviously, to me, one of the biggest news stories last week had to do with Telltale Games, because they had a couple of situations where people have been asking them for a lot of games. You know, in particular, they asked them about Wolf Among Us. Where is the season 2 of that? And Telltale kept saying, well, there wasn't really anything to say about that. But obviously, we got a huge announcement last week that we are, first and foremost, we are getting another season of Batman, and that actually is coming on August 8th. So in a few short weeks, there will be a second season of Batman starting, which is interesting because that just came out of nowhere and it's coming real fast. We also got the announcement that The Wolf Among Us season 2 does exist. It is in development. It is coming sometime in 2018. And then, of course, we got this announcement, which I was very surprised, which is The Walking Dead, the final season, which is also coming in 2018. So, you know, initially with all these announcements, because it all happened at once, and pretty much the way they made the announcement was that this was their Summer Games update for San Diego Comic-Con, in which they basically talked about a lot. Because I know when I went to E3, Telltale didn't have anything to show at that particular E3 this back in June. So this is why that is. But essentially, we have all these projects coming. So one thing that I know that I said when I found out that The Walking Dead, this is the final season, well, I am glad that it is the final season, but I definitely would ask the question of, so what does Telltale have next? Are they going to initially just continue to focus on all of these different projects they have, or is there going to be one specific project that they are known for? Because if you know Telltale, you know the Walking Dead series, this is what, caused them to grow in popularity the most of everything that they have released. So definitely wanted to pose that question on, initially ask you all, what did you think about the announcements? And do you think that they will have something else that is going to replace The Walking Dead, or do you think that they're just going to focus on having multiple projects like they have right now? So first person I'm going to pose this question to is Max. What are your thoughts?
I could totally see them keeping multiple projects going just because that's what they've established for a while now. And they seem to, even right now, be in the middle of quite a few projects, It's kind of a shame that The Walking Dead is coming to an end. It's really weird to think about, that's just not something I ever really considered happening for a long time because of how successful it is. I think it's probably good though, because I'm sure they're probably running out of ideas or something like that, or maybe they just thought of like this really incredible conclusion. And that's not to say there won't be any Walking Dead spinoffs or anything like that, kind of like how they did with the Michonne stuff. But it's cool that this overall arc is coming to an end. I do think that from what I've played of it, the Tales from the Borderlands could be their main franchise if they are able to keep up that quality of writing and everything like that, especially because the Borderlands IP is already huge in and of itself. Not that anything Telltale does isn't huge already. Like even Wolf Among Us, like I know not a lot of people knew about that before. Like I think it's the Fable comic series, right? That it's from or something like that. Not a lot of people knew about that beforehand, but since Telltale made such a great game, that got huge. So I could see that being another one of their leading ones. And I know Batman is big as well, of course. I feel like not much is going to change overall, though. I just hope that they upgrade their damn engine. That's my only thing.
I agree. I agree with that 100% because I know I said on this show multiple times. I've played a couple of games on PlayStation 4. most recently the Guardians game, and that game crashed so many times. I'm like, what is going on? But I don't know. That's good. Very good points. Okay, Mr. Lugo, do you have any thoughts on this particular topic?
It could mean a number of different things, to be honest with you. I mean, it's good to see some finality to The Walking Dead. I feel like maybe it's been going on for a little bit too long, but also this kind of like lines up a little bit of the load on Telltale Games. The common complaint everybody has said and beaten to death is that they take on a lot of stuff, and usually most of their games that come out, even though they're good for most people, some of them just come out and end up being meh, at least for some of the seasons. And it'd be nice maybe if they downsize some of their releases, throughout each year, just by a little bit, and then really up the quality for the ones that they did. I mean, now we're getting confirmed that we're getting Batman Season 2, which is Batman the Enemy Within. We're getting The Wolf Among Us Season 2, which a lot of people seem to really like The Wolf Among Us. I don't remember it being that hyped for a lot of people, but there seems to be a big following for it, so people were excited. And the ending of The Walking Dead. But don't forget, we also have stuff for the Guardians of the Galaxy, because that's not done yet. Game of Thrones, more than likely, because I don't think that's done by a long shot. The same thing with the Minecraft story mode. I don't think that's done at all either. And there's been talk in a variety of different places that people have mentioned offhand of different properties that Telltale can do, or at least some people want them to do. Nothing confirmed, obviously. Some people have thrown names around like Invincible or a Superman game, since the Batman did so well with a lot of people. It'd be interesting for them to take on another DC property like that, especially something so different than how Superman has been handled in previous video game iterations. So there's a lot of good possibilities for this, a lot of positive stuff for it. But I don't think it's anything bad that they're kind of ending something like The Walking Dead, or maybe they have something else down the pipeline. I don't know. But a lot of good could come from it, is how I feel.
Very good points. Yeah. Well, definitely a lot of good could come. We'll have to see what initially their whole plan is. Mr. Singletary, how about you go next?
Word. All right. So on The Walking Dead, I'm a huge fan of Telltale's Walking Dead. I love the first season. The first season is in my top, I think I put it in top 25 games of all time. Season 2 was okay. Season 3 so far, I'm on the 4th episode. It's really, really good. And I'm not sad that it is happening, that it's ending on the next season. Because I was really curious, even during the second season, I'm like, where is this going to go? How far are we going to get with this? The end of the 3rd season has kind of already been spoiled for me a little bit just via trailers. So I know that we get to see someone grow up a bit, and I'm very excited to see that. So this last season, I'm very excited for it. And should I talk about all of the Telltale stuff, or just Walking Dead for now?
Oh no, you can talk about your thoughts on everything that they announced.
Okay. I got a middle finger for him on that Batman Telltale game, because it still doesn't work on my computer. When every point that I get, in the very first episode, it freezes at the same point every single time, and it has yet to be fixed. So I want to play it, but I can't. Eventually we'll fix that problem. Wolf Among Us is wonderful for the people that have not played that, because it's very easy for that to have fallen by the wayside with all these other popular games, because you have Walking Dead, a recognized name, you have Borderlands, you have Game of Thrones, and all this other stuff. It's very easy for you to have missed Wolf Among Us, which is based on the Fable series of comics. If you have not played it, please play it. It is wonderful. The ending of that game, it's very different from what you would expect from these games. It's not a really action intense. It's very, the dialogue is very deep and interesting, and I love how it rounded off their season. So I'm very glad they're getting a second one. I hope we get a third and a fourth for that, because there's a lot that they can do with that world, so what else? Was that it? I think that's it.
Yeah, I think, those are the 3 that they announced, but I don't know if, Yeah,
and I haven't even played Guardians of the Galaxy yet, so I have to try that sometime soon.
Yeah, Guardians is pretty good. Second episode was a backstory for another character. I'm not going to spoil nothing, but yeah, it's good. But that Batman situation on PC, that's horrible news. You know, that's a problem. So we'll see if Telltale addresses. Should have released a patch or something to fix that, but that's just crazy. So Dana, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't play on PC, so I'm rather pleased with my Batman. But I want to say that I'm looking forward to The Walking Dead, the final chapter, because in the third one, they kind of went off in a different direction. I miss my Clementine, and I'm happy she's coming back. So that is something that I'm looking forward to. The Wolf Among Us, I know, very big. Several people I know was completely lost their minds over that. So I like the fact that everything is going to be a nice, new, fresh storyline. But you're still going to get, the characters that you love. So I'm good for that one. I'm really happy about that. I, again, don't have any problems with Batman, so I'm very much looking forward to that one. So overall, I think it's going to be a very good situation. Just, scale things down. Don't rush anything. And I think we're going to continue to get the good games. Don't take on so many projects. Just focus on what you have and just keep wrapping up everything that you have. And I don't have any complaints.
Sounds good. Okay, Gary. You and I have finished Walking Dead season 3. We're obviously not going to spoil it because, I know Charles and some of the others in here didn't finish it yet. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on all this other stuff that we talked about regarding The Walking Dead and the other games?
Yeah, so before I get to Walking Dead, I'm very happy that they're bringing back Wolf Among Us. It's definitely been one of the ones we've been asking for, since the first season. And that the first season actually got me reading the Fable comics and stuff. So yeah, very excited that we're going to get another one of those. And I hope that it does maintain the same level of story writing as the first season did. And Batman, I'm surprised that Batman is coming so soon because the announcement came out of nowhere. So I'm quite shocked at that because usually, we would know way ahead of time that it's coming out in August, but it's literally a few weeks before August now. And yeah, so that took me off guard completely. I'm gonna have to free up some time to make sure that I play that game now. But yeah, looking forward to that because the end of I know I can't spoil anything and I won't, but yeah, end of season 1 was very interesting. So looking forward to see what's gonna happen in season 2 of Batman. And as for Walking Dead, so yeah, season 3 was excellent. I didn't like season 2 Walking Dead much. Obviously the first one was a classic. Second one was kind of meh to me. The third season was excellent. I loved it. It was definitely it was exciting all the way through. The character development was very compelling and everything. So yeah, big fan of season 3. Season 4 and the final season. I don't know how I feel about it being the final season. I mean, I guess, there's only so long it can continue. So in a way, I am kind of happy that, they're ending it because if you look at the Walking Dead TV show, it's kind of dragging on and it's the same scenario over and over again, repeated. So, I guess at some point you're going to hit a brick wall. So if that's, if it's because of creative reasons while they're kind of, stopping the series, then that's fine. I completely understand that. But I feel Walking Dead was kind of their flagship IP. It was the one that they was known for. So for them to make that bold decision to be hey, this next season of The Walking Dead is the final, season, I feel they have another IP that they want to focus on and make their flagship IP. And I'm actually gonna, I like to speculate. I like to, I come up with theories a lot. I'm gonna make the bold statement and say that I think they may have Star Wars coming. So I feel that's gonna, be their number one kind of baby IP moving forward once, The Walking Dead is over. So yeah, that's my theory personally, but I mean, I could be wrong, could be completely wrong. They also have a lot of other IPs to juggle, of course, as JJ was saying earlier. They have quite a lot to juggle, and I hope that the studio is actually kind of growing and they're employing more people, because they do have quite a lot at the moment. They have Minecraft, they have Guardians of the Galaxy. They already announced that they were having more Marvel shows, I think, more Marvel games, I mean. So yeah, they have quite a lot on their plate already. So yeah, I hope that they do have the level of staff needed to attend to all of these different IPs and, you know, maintain the level of quality that they have so far. And they definitely need to fix all those bugs with the engine and everything. And, you know, I'm sad to hear about the problems that Charles had, and I'm willing to actually help look for a fix if possible, because that sounds like really bad, like, you know, not being able to play the game and stuff. But yeah, I hope that they're able to fix things like that moving forward, because, you know, there has been a lot of wear and tear on their engines and stuff. But yeah, all in all, looking forward to everything that they've got going, that they've got cooking in the future. I still need to play Borderlands as well. That's another one that I still need to play. Game of Thrones, I wasn't thrilled about, but that's also another one that they have. So yeah, they have quite a lot going on, and I'm looking forward to seeing how everything progresses with them.
Absolutely looking forward to seeing how it all turns out. There is more that I would say on Walking Dead that I can't spoil it. So maybe we will talk about it off camera, because I don't want to spoil it for everybody else. But I do have a very specific question I wanted to ask about the final season. I will have to ask that question in the future on the show, because it can't get into that discussion without spoiling some stuff that happens in season 3. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll talk off air.
Yeah, we'll see. But I believe that pretty much concludes our show for this week. If you guys have any final shout outs that you would like to give, please feel free to do so now. Plugs as well. And Charles, I'll have you go first.
You can follow me on Twitter, _CSJR, and of course follow the Coins and Continue podcast. Coins, the number 2, continue. I'll probably be crashing more of these regularly. You know, you never know when I'm going to come running down the ramp and RKO Gary. So, you know, follow me. I love to interact on Twitter. I'm on there probably too much. Like, I have 2 screens and I'm totally looking at Twitter on this other screen right now. So, yeah. Peace.
Sounds good. Dana, any final words or shout outs?
Basically, shout out to everyone who's listening and for the support, and follow the site, you know, thekoalition.com for more stuff. And it's going to be a fun and exciting weekend. Shout out to Battleground.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to sit through that train wreck later tonight. But please feel free to watch our WrestleCast discussion we had last night. But that's going to be very painful to watch tonight. But we'll see. We'll see. Mr. Lugo, you have any final words or shout outs?
Yeah, just thank you to everybody that's been watching, everybody that's been leaving comments in the chat, as well as everybody that's been leaving comments on all the articles, the reviews, the posts, the videos that we put up. Thank you. We appreciate it. Shout outs to the Patreon subscribers as well. All the patrons out there that support us on Patreon. Thank you. We appreciate it as well. Be on the lookout for more new content. We have some interesting stuff in the works, not only throughout this week, but even for down the line. I have my review of Pyre going up tomorrow on PlayStation 4, and I'll be able to talk about that more at some point, probably also on the next co-op podcast, as well as a bunch of other stuff that's in the works. So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Mr. Max Muller, any final shout outs from you?
Yeah, as always, thanks everyone in the chat for participating and being a part of the show. The chat wasn't loading for me for most of the show, so that's why I wasn't a part of it. Unlike usual, it was really, really weird. I just decided to refresh the page and it was all there. So that happened. But I'd also like to thank Andrew Bennison for coming on and telling us all that insight about the indie game industry. That was really, really cool to hear. A lot of it was very surprising. I wasn't aware of a lot of the stuff he was talking about, especially in terms of like the YouTube kind of conversions and stuff like that. That's so fascinating to me. And like all the sort of IP issues they have to go through every time they're making a game. I found that stuff very, very interesting. As always, thanks everyone for checking out the site, and we'll have more content for you soon, as usual. So see y'all.
Absolutely, and I'm just going to piggyback off of what Max said. Also, thank Andrew for being on the show. Definitely learned a lot of information today, and we will definitely keep a lookout for his game. For those of you who want more information, we'll have more information on the site about the game soon, just so that it's forthcoming. And I would like to give a shout out to all the fans that continue to support us, whether you're watching the show live or you watch it later. We do appreciate all of the feedback and the continued support, as well as the Patreon subscribers. And I did want to leave a little quick reminder, we are doing a giveaway for the August game that actually ends tomorrow. So if you have not voted yet, you definitely need to make sure you vote because you're running out of time. But we will announce the winner for that giveaway next week on the co-op. So stay tuned for that. And Gary, the floor is yours.
Yep. So, of course, I'm going to shout out all of our wonderful Patreon supporters. That's M. Collins, Sean Gority, Stephen Ferron, Mauricio Aguilar, Himdil, Fergus Mills, Lalowin Leslie, Nicholas Alvarez, and Miguel. Shouts to all you guys, and thanks for all of your support. Definitely look out for the giveaway once it goes live and everything. And, obviously, our Patreon supporters, they have a higher chance of winning all of our giveaways thanks to their financial support and everything. And shouts to everyone who joined us today in the chat as well. We appreciate you guys, discussing everything with us. And, of course, shouts to Andrew for coming on and sharing his insight on indie games development. I especially enjoyed the fact that, he was from the UK as well, because I love, hearing more people in the UK industry as well, because it doesn't really get, you don't get to see a lot of UK, games industry stuff happen a lot, and you don't get to hear from a lot of people who are on the inside, in development and everything. So always good to hear another voice from the UK industry. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Shouts to Charles for jumping in. Anytime he hits me with the RKO, I'm going to counter that with a Stone Cold Stunner. So watch out for that in the future. And yeah, that's pretty much it from me.
His Stone Cold Stunner is accusing me of watching Gotham. Dirty move, bro. It's real dirty.
That's pretty bad.
You saying you've never talked about it on Twitter before?
I talked about how garbage it was when season 1 was out, but I haven't talked about it since, I don't think.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I probably just saw you saying it was garbage.
Probably.
It's all good. Well, yes, once again, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. We'll talk to you next week.